up, brothers? Thank you for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering the LeBron James seeking a unique clause from the new Lakers contract, more on the FSU and ACC lawsuit, how the Super League will affect college basketball, Klay Thompson and free agency. Make sure you guys stick around for later in the show when we'll be diving into our Thirsty Thursday segment. Sorry.
Okay, Thursday. Have you already started sampling?
No, you remember the video I sent you yesterday?
Okay.
What's up, brothers?
I was not expecting that at all. And I'm like, Thursday. Faith is already then.
No,
she's sipping on a little gin and juice over here
no,
today,
I'm not. No, it's been this thing that's been going around in the sports world that they're doing this. What's up, brother? Special teams, special players. I thought it would be funny, but I saw Tate's face as I said it, and I was like, "Oop, maybe that was a bad call."
I just had no clue that was about to happen. So you threw me for a loop.
Sorry. Okay, well. Before we start, guys, I'd like to ask that you guys like and follow the show. We get a number of questions from the viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. The tips and donation link is gsmcpodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps the show.
I was going to say, the last person threw me for a loop. It didn't turn out well for him. Now Faith is throwing me for a loop.
Oh, this might be my last show, guys.
It's been real.
It's been real.
Okay, I have a confession to make. We are starting today's show a little late.
Yes.
Faith and I were chatting, and the chatting got a little out of hand. And next thing you know, we looked around and we ate up some of our time here today. So
it's all right.
We normally don't do so. We just have the basic production meeting, but today we had a little extended version of the production meeting.
Yes.
Which carried over. So we're sorry that we're a little late today, but we still plan on giving you the same, hopefully, quality content.
Yeah.
And I added a little extra lighting here so you get to see a little bit more of
the lighting is on point today.
So let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Or maybe people just didn't want to see this much of me.
Oh gosh. All righty. So, for our first segment, LeBron James is seeking a unique clause with the new Lakers contract. LeBron James is widely expected to finish his career in a Lakers uniform, but the NBA's all-time scoring leader is reportedly seeking some security with his last contract. According to ESPN, the King is expected to ask for a no-trade clause in the new contract he's likely to sign with the Lakers this offseason. On Monday's Hoop Collective podcast, Brian Windhorst explained why James will opt out of his $51.4 million player option for the 2024 and 25 season to secure guarantees in his new deal. If he extends a contract he is in or picks up that option and extends onto it, he cannot get a no-trade clause. I think for a number of different reasons, LeBron would ask for, and probably be granted a no-trade clause. Windhorst believes that Rob Pelinka-led Lakers front office could be hesitant to give the aging star a player option, especially if he signs for 3 years. James turns 40 this December. Although Windhorst didn't elaborate on the reasons for James to seek a no-trade clause, one wonders if the report of the Warriors trying to trade for him has influenced his thought process. If James were to get a no-trade clause, he'd join Suns guard Bradley Beal as one of the only 2 active players in the league with a special contract stipulation. Only 8 other players in NBA history have secured no-trade clauses in their contract. James has previously received a no-trade clause when he signed a 3-year, $99.8 million deal with the Cavaliers in 2016. So.
Okay. Now, if there's anyone that should get a no-trade clause, it's LeBron.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to look at it on LeBron's side. I I think it's very positive. That's a positive sign for me
Mm-hmm.
with the LeBron wants a no trade clause. That's to me the big story was the fact that he wants that no trade clause, meaning number
Mm-hmm.
one, he's willing to opt out of that contract, which is 50 something million dollars, to get a longer term contract with the Lakers with
Mm-hmm.
a no trade clause. That means, as a Laker fan, LeBron wants to finish his career in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real story around it. There's been a lot of talk that at the end of this contract, LeBron wanted to be a free agent so that he can go and sign wherever Bronny goes.
Right.
But this news here, reading the tea leaves, shows one, he's willing to opt out, become a free agent, but then sign a brand new deal, meaning one, he wants to be a Laker, he wants to retire a Laker, and he is not planning to retire anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning this year, like they're talking about this contract, this year and 3 more years after that, which means LeBron wants to play until he's almost 43, maybe 44, 45. If I was the Lakers, I would definitely do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the greatest player of all time, even if you're like, he's not the greatest player of all time. Let's just say you hate LeBron James, okay? We're going to take the approach that you absolutely hate LeBron, your team Jordan, let's say your team Kareem as well. The absolute worst you could do is say LeBron's one of the top 5 players to ever play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a hater. Someone that would hate LeBron would still have to put him in their top 5.
Mm-hmm.
For more reasonable people, you may have you have LeBron at number 1. I fought it for years. I had Kareem ahead of him, Jordan, I had Kobe ahead of him, I had Wilt ahead of him, I had Russell ahead of him forever. But LeBron just kept on taking care of business.
Mm-hmm.
The older he got, the better he got. And LeBron, who I fought for a long time to say he wasn't the number 1 player of all time, is the GOAT in my eyes. Mm-hmm. So I was reluctant to put him at that level. So with that being said, being able to secure a player of LeBron James's caliber playing at the level that he is playing, yes, even at an advanced age, if the Lakers, I think the Lakers should be willing to give him the no trade clause and give him a 3-year deal. My question would be, I would even go, if I was the Lakers, I would even go one step further. I'd give him a 4-year deal with trying to get the 4th year a team option, meaning 3 more years plus we can add the team option so we can have another year. If we want to have another year, we have that option.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would negotiate because, yes, he's 40. But even if LeBron at this level is one of the 3 to 5 best players in the league, let's say LeBron starts to slow down
mm-hmm.
and start playing old man basketball, he's still worth a 4-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm definitely giving it to him. And I know they were saying Bradley Beal was the only one that has it. And looking at kind of the Bradley Beal situation, it came back to bite them in the butt for giving it because it made it so you could only trade him to one team. That's what Bradley Beal kind of made it. So he could only go to Phoenix. A no trade clause makes it really hard to get rid of a player.
Mm-hmm.
But so I wouldn't give it to very many people, but the greatest of all time, a legendary player, a legendary Laker, because he will go down in history as a legendary Laker. Maybe not the greatest Laker, but he's one of the legends. Um, yeah, I'm definitely giving it to him. What do you think? I mean, and think about this. He's almost going to be 40.
Mm-hmm.
Do you how do you just think about this as a fan or a team? Would you, number one, give him an extended contract? I say yes, but and two, would you give him a no trade clause to make sure you lock them in?
I say yes to both. I mean, he's definitely at 39. He's still breaking records, and he's just doing really well at his age. And so, I mean, 4 or 5 years from now, even if he's not playing like he's playing now, it still wouldn't be bad. He wouldn't be,
No.
the worst basketball player ever. So yeah, I feel like he's proven his worth. So I feel like yes to both of
No
those.
one, no one is taking care of their body better than him. What are you going to
Hmm.
say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
My question is, how does this play with Bronny going into the draft this year? Because LeBron said his last year is going to be when he plays with the Sun. So how does that play into all of
You
this?
know what? That's the thing that surprised me the most with this. That
Hmm.
by him saying, if he is willing to opt out of his contract and sign an extension with the Lakers, it confuses me with Bronny. Bronny did not have the year that everyone was expecting,
Hmm.
partially because of health issues. He
Hmm.
had the whole cardiac arrest, and so he did not. He was not able to really showcase what kind of player he is. And so, one, I think he will enter the draft. Well, he's already entered the draft, but I'm like stay in
Hmm.
before the and I think he will get drafted. The question is where
Right.
could I look at it and I say, if LeBron signs his extension, does it hurt Bronny in the draft?
Hmm.
Because I give you the scenario that it will hurt Bronny.
Yeah.
If LeBron signs an extension with the Lakers, I feel like it directly affects Bronny in his draft status. LeBron going into the offseason as a free agent or an option, it's his option to opt out of his contract, makes it so that there are going to be teams that's like, listen, we draft Bronny, we have a chance to get Bronny and LeBron. And so there are some teams out there that I think would have drafted, would make a move for Bronny just to be able to bring LeBron in and bring him to their city. I think about the Knicks or some of the other teams out there, Miami, uh, that I could see making a move for Bronny. But if LeBron goes ahead and opts out of his contract and signs a 3-year extension, the no trade clause is a no brainer. Just lock that down.
Hmm.
That's happening. Uh, so with that being the case, if LeBron's locked down, the attraction to taking a flyer, because you are taking a flyer on Bronny. You're not sure that Bronny's not going to be LeBron. He's not
Right.
going to be he's going to be something else. And I don't know if I look at Bronny, I don't look at Bronny as a key franchise player. I look at Bronny as someone that will become a quality role player, but not a superstar. And I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong on that one, but I see him as more of someone as a piece to a team, not the piece to
Hmm.
the team, like his dad is. And so, with that being said, not having the collegiate career that we were hoping for, I think he slides, especially if you're not going to be able to get his dad as well. So very curious to see how this goes. But as far as the article goes, I think the no trade clause is a no-brainer. I would love to see, this will sound crazy, but I would love to see LeBron opt out and maybe give the Lakers a bit of a pay cut. You know, being an older player, sign a 3 or 4 year deal. As the Lakers, I would try for a 4-year deal with LeBron, but add a little bit of a discount. I don't think LeBron would do that. And the reason why I say LeBron should go in for a discount isn't to help the Lakers, but to help LeBron himself. Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, LeBron, Rui Hachimura, they have a quality team, but they need one more piece. They need another piece. And if LeBron took a bit of a cut on this next contract, freeing up, because no one wants to go to that second apron. The salary cap, you have a salary cap that you can go over salary cap to certain levels. And you go to the first apron, but if you go past that second apron, it is like a death penalty for teams. The penalty is so huge and so massive. But if you could get LeBron to take a little bit less, I'm not telling him to play for league minimum. I'm saying he's still gonna, still get paid incredibly well, but take a little bit less so there's more room as far as salary cap space goes to get another option. I think that would be huge for the Lakers. And that's the one thing I feel like the Lakers are missing. They're one player away from contending for championships. They're a danger. This year, looking at them, they're a fun, dangerous team to watch. But I don't look at them as they're going to win a championship. They could cause problems in the playoffs, but I don't look at them as winning a championship. Bringing another piece in, a real piece, makes them go from a fun, dangerous team to watch to contending for another title. And LeBron is strictly in this for more titles.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm curious to see how the whole Bronny situation is going to play out with this as well. Because
go ahead.
When I was reading this, I was like, well, I thought he wanted to play with Bronny, and that's why he wanted to go into free agency. But now it's
things change because Bronny's health issue became such a factor that his time at USC did not turn out quite the way everyone had expected because of the health issue, the heart issue. And that's another thing when you start thinking about drafting Bronny. He didn't have, things didn't turn out at USC the way he had hoped. And the heart issue gives you a lot of cause for pause, especially if LeBron's not in the mix as far as possible destination for him as well. I think it hurts Bronny.
Yeah.
So, right.
Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about more on the FSU and the ACC lawsuit, and then we will also discuss how the proposed college football Super League impacts college basketball's future. So make sure you guys stick around, and we will be back in a minute.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on their face shit. I look around and feel
feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant, I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Earlier we were talking about LeBron James seeking a unique clause with the new Lakers contract, and now we're going to be talking about the latest on the FSU versus ACC lawsuit, and then we'll be discussing how the proposed college football super league impacts college basketball's future. But before we do that, I just wanted to remind you guys to like and follow the show. We get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link with your question. That link is gsmcpodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps the show. So
now you're getting into the flow of things.
Getting in the flow. Yep. Alrighty.
That's hilarious.
So
yes, ma'am.
Welcome back to the telenovela of FSU versus the ACC. We've got some new stuff that came out with the FSU Board of Trustees in the Atlantic Coast Conference lawsuit. So,
interesting. It's always interesting. I know a little bit about this. I'm looking forward to hearing what the article has to say.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Okay, so the latest edition of the FSU Board of Trustees versus the Atlantic Coast Conference lawsuit commenced this time in Leon County, Florida. What was scheduled to be an hour-and-a-half hearing turned into a 6-hour affair. Leon County Judge John C. Cooper, a Florida State graduate with a BA and a JD from the university, presided over the case. He denied the ACC's motion to stay, but has yet to rule on the league's motion to dismiss. The next hearing concerning the motion to dismiss will take place on April 22nd. Judge Cooper seemed to favor the notion that under broad Florida public record laws, documents should, as the Holte contest ESPN and ACC contract, should be open to viewership in the state, but not necessarily other states such as North Carolina, where the ACC first filed suit. That being said, Judge Cooper brought up the issue of forum shopping multiple times as they filed anticipatory suit the day before FSU filed suit. Forum shopping is the practice of filing suit in a desirable court to gain an advantage according to that jurisdiction's laws. The ACC argued that this lawsuit should be held in North Carolina since it operates out of that state and should adhere to its laws. However, FSU attorney Peter Rush agrees that despite the initial $572 million estimate it would take for the university to leave the conference and retain its media rights, it would cost closer to $700 million. Therefore, according to Rush, the decision regarding this case should come from the Sunshine State. This is Florida State's money, this is Florida State's team, this is Florida State's media rights, said Rush. Perhaps the biggest development came regarding media rights. The ACC acknowledged that FSU could leave the conference by paying the $130 to $140 million exit fee at any point, but would lose its media rights. From there, FSU or another could liberate the university by purchasing the media rights from the ACC.
Interesting. This is the thing that makes it real interesting here, was that last part where they say someone could purchase the media rights. So there's a lot to unpack here. First off, I'm going to touch on the whole media rights a little later on. This lawsuit, what makes it interesting is the fact that forum shopping, I never heard anyone say it's not right. Because one of the things that you do as a company, a lot of times you have a clause in their contract that all disputes are settled in this state.
Right.
Because that is a form of forum shopping. You want it to be in the state that you reside in. You want it to be in a state where the laws are more protected and geared toward you. So I never heard anyone ever call forum shopping kind of a bad thing. A lot of places, and I've seen a lot of lawsuits out there, and everyone will go and like, I'm filing in this state and I'm filing this in this state, because that's they're forum shopping. We want to have this case heard by a judge that's going to be a lot more friendlier to what I want than what the corporation wants. So that was kind of interesting. Also, what came out of this is the fact that this overall situation has put the ACC in a rough place, where they're going to have to deal with multiple lawsuits in multiple different forums at the exact same time. That is something that is also incredibly rare. Most times a judge will rule, okay, we're going to push the court date back for this one until after this lawsuit is settled, because it's kind of like wars. You're dividing your forces on two fronts. So you can never give your 100%. All your legal team and everyone's busy dealing with this lawsuit over here, and now you're going to have to get a totally separate legal team to deal with a lawsuit over here at the exact same time, instead of having, this is my legal team, and we're focused on this. We're going to handle this business, and when that business is done, let's say it's Clemson or Florida State, when the ACC can look and say, when the Florida State issue is done, then we're going to turn our legal team loose on Clemson next. Well, this has made it so they don't have that. That's not a luxury to them. They're going to have a group of lawyers that are dealing with lawsuits in Carolina, but also in Florida at the same time. And I found that to be a bit of a surprise. But here, the one thing that there were so many surprises that came out with this one. The other thing that came out with this was the fact that it's not 150 million or 530 million.
It's
big
buckaroos.
It's 700 million is what they're saying they're going to have to do. They're going to have to kick out 700 million to leave the ACC.
Now, does that include the media rights as well, or is that just leaving? Okay.
Yes. So what that would be is, it would be, I think it's like 150 million or so. What is it? 150 or 130 million?
130 to 140 million exit fee.
Okay, 130 to 140 million to leave the ACC. That is like, see you later. But their clause makes it a little different, where there are two different things. You have the right to leave the ACC, but the ACC still owns all your media rights. So this would never happen. But let's just say Florida State decided, we're leaving and we're going to become an independent. Well, no one can show Florida State games except for the ACC, because they have the rights to that. And so what the ACC is saying is, listen, we're willing to negotiate with you.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Florida State can get out of this. But they're saying you're going to have to pay that $140 million settlement. All right. Then you're going to have to find someone, whether it's the Big Ten, the SEC, someone that is willing to pay the ACC $500 million so that they own the television rights.
Mm-hmm.
So if that was the case, it could still be done and they could negotiate it. The solution, here's a crazy solution for that is, let's say the ACC decides to leave and they go to the Big Ten, and everyone in the Big Ten is getting between $80 and $100 million. And let's say the Big Ten brought them in. They could take that and say, okay, it's a 10-year deal. You're getting $50 million a year, Florida State, and we pay $50 million a year to the ACC for you coming here. We'll give you $100 million a year, but $50 million of that must be paid to the ACC every single year for 10 years for you to come to the Big Ten. That's doable. You still have to pay the $130 million, but you could work out a deal like that. That's the first thing. When I heard that they're saying, listen, you have that exit fee, that's what it is. But this is what we have the media rights for this, and it sounds like they're open to it. So whether Florida State went to, let's say, the SEC is getting about $80 million a year. You'd have to divide that over whatever time period the ACC's television contract, let's say it's 10 years. We have a contract that we're going to pay you so much a year for the next 10 years to get out of that contract. That's the key to this whole conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
This lawsuit here kind of showed me the roadmap on how Florida State will leave. It also leads to the roadmap on how Clemson would leave as well. It's just a matter of, I feel like the Florida State will try to negotiate that down and maybe try to get that exit fee from $130 million down to about $80 million, and let's say another $250 for the television rights, and then they go and then they set up a payment arrangement, something like that. That's where I'm seeing it going. I know I took a little extra time because there's a second part to this one, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Divorce court, man, it's hard. Goodness gracious. All right, guys. Well, moving on from that, we're going to talk a little bit about how the proposed college football Super League impacts college basketball's future. So there has been a strong push for a new governing body to seize control of college football, gain control over name, image, and likeness payments, the transfer portal, and wipe the NCAA clean of future lawsuits aimed at the business of the sport. As reported by The Athletic, a group called College Sports Tomorrow, consisting of college presidents, college football executives, and personnel from the NFL, have outlined a system that would replace the current conference structure and college football playoff, while also bringing in the idea of regulation. The plan outlines 70 programs from all Power 5 conferences plus Notre Dame and SMU that would split into 10-team divisions. An 8th division of teams would be prompted for the second tier, comprising 50-plus Division 1 teams that aren't in a power conference like the Mountain West Conference. Those 50-plus non-power programs would have a chance to compete their way into upper division, while the 70 permanent teams wouldn't be in danger of regulation. It's a similar structure to the European Soccer League. The idea of one entity overseeing college athletics' biggest revenue generator, appears to have an answer for just about every problem surrounding the sport. But what does it mean for the future of college basketball? College Sports Tomorrow has stated its proposed idea would create the finances needed for non-revenue generated sports to survive and thrive. That loosely includes golf, tennis, rowing, soccer, volleyball, and baseball. College basketball drives a significant amount of revenue, even if it's less than football, though the proposed Super League wouldn't translate to the hardwood. For starters, there are over 360 Division I college basketball programs compared to 130 plus FBS teams. The conference format works in basketball because of how the NCAA tournament is structured to grant automatic bids for conference championships. A form of regulation and promotion in college basketball could work in the theory, though a carbon copy of college football's Super League format would risk altering what many consider to be the best postseason in U.S. sports. So, in a world where separate entities control basketball and football, how do leagues and schools that don't sponsor Division I football survive? Namely Gonzaga, the Big East, mid-major schools, and conferences that are built on success of men and women's basketball.
Okay. This article really got my wheels turning because there's a lot of executives, people are coming out mainly from the SEC and the Big Ten that's like, Super League is dead. It is, before it ever even starts, it's not happening. And then, but there are a lot of private companies that want it to happen. Meaning there's a lot of companies that are willing to throw a lot of money out to make the Super League happen. There are some schools and some chancellors that want it to happen. The problem is that I see with this whole thing is the Big Ten and the SEC they have a lot of power, and they're not willing to give up that power.
Right.
And so I started thinking about this and how to do it. And I'll give you my solution on how I think I would solve this issue, because it's the proposal of 70 teams and 7 different conferences. And then there's an 8th conference, which is from the group of 5, where there's the top 10 teams get into their own conference, and there's relegation and all of that. It can work, and a lot of people want it to work, but it has to be altered, because the SEC is not going to be like, okay, you know what? What's best for college football? We're going to give in and we're going to go away. The Big Ten is going to be like, yeah, we got 100 and something years history. We make a massive amount of money, but yeah, we're willing to go away and do away with conferences altogether to do this program. It's not realistic whatsoever. Not to mention, when you start thinking about college basketball and what the solution is for college basketball, with all the different conferences and everything and the way it works, makes it incredibly hard to do. And so the solution is an alternative. For football, I thought it was easy because of the fact that you could say, here you go. The Big Ten gets 2 automatic bids. The Big Ten East, Big Ten West. Just divide them up into East and West. That's 2 schools. The SEC East, the SEC West, which is already there, they get automatic bids. I give the ACC champion, they get a bid. The Big 12 champion gets a bid, and the new Pac-12 team gets a bid. And then the group of 5, the best team from the group of 5 gets a bid. You could do this program exactly the way it's set up, but you have to keep the conferences. Now, this proposal talks about how you're able to do this. It fits for football, but no one's thought about what about basketball? There's double the teams in basketball. Same concept applies. It would just have to be different. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't necessarily, you would not do the relegation program part of it, but you would still have March Madness and still have all the conferences still run it in, and you could still have March Madness and it doesn't change anything, but it makes it so that you can still keep the greatest tournament of them all, which is March Madness, especially with the fact that they are taking March Madness and talking about expanding it. Mm-hmm. So if you're expanding March Madness already from 64 to 70 to 80 teams and more, it already fits into this new program. And so therefore it works. It works incredibly well. I hope it happens because it takes care of all the issues that is plaguing college football.
Yes.
This makes it so that there's one organization that handles name, image, and likeness, transfer portal, playoffs, everyone. There's none of this committees deciding on who wins the national championship. All of this has been decided. Mm-hmm. So I say it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
All right. Excellent. So
alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Klay Thompson and how he will be prioritizing mental health in impending free agency, and how Magic is emerging as a top suitor for Klay Thompson. So make sure you guys stick around, and we'll be back in a minute.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking about the FSU and ACC lawsuit.
What's going on here?
Sorry, little turned around for a second there, sorry. So earlier we were talking about the FSU and ACC lawsuit highlighted by the league's alleged forum shopping. And then we were also discussing how the proposed college football Super League impacts college basketball's future. And now we're going to be talking about Klay Thompson and how he's doing with free agency and what's going on with that. So,
all right, now I'm going to tell you, I ran out real quick because I had a couple friends of mine that's from Germany that just got in. And so I had to run over and say hello to them. And then Faith ran out as well. So
yeah, it was a quick bathroom break for me.
So I'm gonna check my camera too. I'm gonna check a different camera, see if it works. Yes. Okay. Just wanted to see if that was working. May want to do something. All right.
Okay.
Back to this one.
Tate's just messing around over here. Okay. So Klay Thompson will prioritize mental health in impending free agency. For most players in the NBA, especially aging journeymen fighting to survive in an uber-competitive league, a contract year could be a nerve-wracking experience. However, when you're Klay Thompson, you're Warriors royalty and almost assured to be fiscally taken care of by the franchise you helped win 4 championships. At least that was the assumption made by most insiders covering the Warriors. Warriors. Then the 2023-24 season happened. Thompson went to the bench for the first time since 2012, causing several analysts to call for the Warriors to trade him before the February 8th trade deadline. For the first time in his storied career, there were questions about Thompson's future as a Warrior. It was a feeling he had never experienced through 12 seasons in the Bay. He was no longer Warriors royalty. On the recent episode of the Draymond Green Show, Thompson admitted that facing adversity in a contract year has changed his outlook towards free agency and his basketball mortality. He commented, "I was actually struggling with a lot at the beginning of this year because of the unknown. I might have let contract situations or playing time or making up excuses rather than just appreciating what is in front of me. It took me and Steve Kerr like 4 real heart-to-heart talks to finally break my shell, being like, you know what, I've got to have fun this year. I deserve to have fun." The Washington State alumni stressed that the newfound perspective has made him appreciate his limited time in the league and could factor into his free agency decision. Thompson will become a free agent on July 1st, while the Magic are reportedly expected to offer him a ton of money. Other teams such as the Sixers, Jazz, and Hornets are projected to have the most cap space. So,
interesting. Okay. So when you look at Klay and you start thinking about him, and he's still Golden State royalty. He's one of the Splash Brothers. I would like to see Golden State and Klay figure out a way to have him come back to Golden State. I think that is the best thing for his career as a whole. Sometimes one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of players make when they get older is the team is starting to change, their game is starting to slip, and playing time becomes so much more important to them that they don't think about their legacy. They feel like they still have a lot more time left in their career. And so they end up going to another organization where that organization gets a year or two out of them, then they kind of toss them away, and then it spirals out of control from there. I think a guy like Klay should stay with Golden State. He's taken a step back, but long term, yes, maybe in a contract year, maybe taking a considerable pay cut. That's the hard thing. When you're used to, Faith, if you're making $30 million a year, and maybe there's another someone out there that's willing to pay you $30 million next year to have you come work with them. But to stay where you're at, you may have to take half of that. It's a hard thing to do. Different when you're young, but when you look at yourself and you're an older player, sometimes the older player will chase the money and just say, I'm going for the extra money. But when I look at Klay, I say it's worth more long term for him to stay in a Warriors uniform for his career than it would be for him to leave and go somewhere else. Now, they were talking about teams that would be a good fit. And they talked about the Orlando Magic. Okay, that's a place that he would go. I just don't see it ending well for him. I would not look at Klay going to Orlando and saying, now that Klay's in Orlando, Orlando's a championship contending team. Absolutely not. No. The 76ers, though, that is an interesting team because Klay could go to the 76ers. He would fit in really well with Joel and Embiid as far as being able to space the floor out because he's such a great shooter. It allows Joel Embiid to still do Joel Embiid things, which he may be the best player in basketball. He's one of the best players in basketball when healthy. Yeah. This year's our reigning MVP. He won't be MVP this year, won't even qualify because he didn't play enough games. But he is one of the best players in the league. And having a guy like Klay who could space the floor out, 3-and-D type player, even though his defense may not be where it used to be, he is still a premier defender and a great shooter, and fits in well. But ultimately, the best place for him, I think, is to stay in Golden State. Too many players make that mistake and say, I'm going to go somewhere else where the grass is greener. I mean, I look at like Dez Bryant with the Cowboys, or Ezekiel Elliott with the Cowboys, where Dez was like, I'm not going to take a pay cut and I'm going to go somewhere else. Dez would have had a much better end to his career if he would have taken the pay cut and stayed in Dallas, because it ended up being a disaster for him. Sometimes sometimes players got to look at the overall big picture. If he stays his whole career with Steph and him, whenever they talk about the Splash Brothers, they're always bringing them two back together. The Warriors championship years, being a megastar in the Bay Area can last for decades to come after the game. And so that's kind of the way I look at it for Steph, is what's the best thing for Steph long term? And I say staying with Golden State, unless you got a surefire team that's going to say, hey, we're going to invest in you long term. We're going to give you a long-term contract, max dollars, and we're going to contend. We're going to make a run at the championship. I think about like Charles Barkley, his last few years in Portland and things of that nature. It was a bad decision. It doesn't. It's more important for an older player to stay with the team that he's known for, I think, long term than short term. So, what do you think?
I don't. I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like.
I mean, he's been there, since 2012? Is that what that's
Yes.
in? He's been with the Warriors since 2012, and now all of a sudden he may not be with them anymore, and he's...
Yes.
How many more years does he have before he retires?
Players, that's the thing. Players sometimes are the last ones to know that their career is on the downslide. I think Klay is a little bit more self-aware, and he kind of realized, hey, I need to come off the bench.
Yeah.
Also, the fact is you've come off of two massive injuries, and now you come back and you're not the same player anymore. Mm-hmm. In a contract year, just mentally, it's a hard thing to be like, ooh, I got to have a big year this year. It's important that I have a big year because I want to be able to stay at Golden State. I want to get a big contract, and I want to do this, and this. Mm-hmm. And then you start playing, and you're not playing as well as you were hoping to. And so it becomes a mental thing. I need to play better. So you start pressing. When you start pressing, your game is in trouble. Mm-hmm. And so you start to slide. And it's costly as well. And I've heard people say, when you talk about Klay, maybe the thing that Klay needs most is a change of scenery. And a change of scenery could inject some energy into his game. But long term, I look at it as, where should he be for long-term stability? He's a warrior in everyone's mind, Golden State Warrior, and I would hate to see him leave. You know, when you start thinking about this championship dynasty of the Warriors, you think Steph, Klay, Draymond. I would like to see the Warriors keep them together. It's kind of like Magic, Kareem, and Worthy. you look at the Bulls, and it's like Pippen going and playing for, I think it was Houston or Portland. I can't remember where he went to. It didn't end well for them. They had a decent team, but it doesn't. I don't think it ends well for them. So,
yes. You feel he should stay with the Warriors and just
yes, I really do. I think you understand what I mean. It's the grass isn't always greener. There's a difference between you're our homegrown guy and you're the guy that we just brought in as a hired gun. The loyalty from the organization is not the same. The minute they look at you and you're like, oh, your game, his game isn't what we thought it was going to be. They're not gonna look at you and say, hey, he's one of our guys. It's like he's a piece. We got to get rid of him. We got to move on from him. We got to send him to the bench. People don't care, about your feelings any longer.
Right.
But when you're that homegrown talent, it's a delicate conversation. We gotta take it. We consider not only what's best for the team, but what's best for Klay, because he's family. And that's the reason why I look at it, and it's just like, it's the right move.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well, all right, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into our Thirsty Thursday segment. So make sure you guys stick around, and we'll be back in a minute.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking about Klay Thompson and what he's going to be doing with the impending free agency that will be coming at the end of the NBA season. And now we're going to be diving into our Thirsty Thursday segment, which we're doing a little bit differently this week. Last week, and what our plan was for this is that we were going to do like desperate thirsty people, fishing for dates, that type of thing. But I discovered when you search up Thirsty Thursday on Reddit, you don't always get what you're looking for. So we changed it up a little bit, and so we have like funny like drinking stories and what comes along with drinking too much. So that's what we're going to be doing for this segment from now on. So, and Tate has now returned. I was stalling a little bit. So we're back, and we're gonna do our Thirsty Thursday story. I was just explaining to the audience that we changed it up from what the original idea was going to be, and now we're doing like funny like drinking stories instead. So I think you're muted.
I also hit mute, so I apologize on that one as well. So I'm like really doing great. Like I said, I'm jumping out. I sent Faith a little message as well.
Oh gosh. Alrighty.
I had to get you in the right mood, Faith. So I had to send her a little private message there.
Alrighty. So I pulled two stories. We'll see if we'll have time for both. But so here's our first one. These are both from Reddit. So seeing how this was many years ago and the statute of limitations has certainly run out, every year the community I live in had a fundraiser for the local fire department. Two of my roommates worked for the department, so I knew all the guys. I'm a girl, by the way. The fundraiser involved paying an entry fee, getting an unlimited amount of food and beer, and hanging around all night until you dropped. I woke up at home the morning after and picked my clothes up off the floor, and a huge wad of dollar bills fell out. Concerned I might have danced on tables, I went out and asked my other roommate why do I have all this money in my pocket? She said, you don't remember? You kicked all the firefighters out of the beer garden and started charging people for beer. If anyone complained, you sent them to the back of the line to think about it. It seems people were A, too drunk to remember they already paid for their beer, or B, it was no fun hanging around a bunch of really drunk people when sober, and those people were willing to pay twice for the beer to catch up. I made $64.
Wait a minute. I thought you were talking about like $500, a grand. I thought she made some serious cheddar there. That's what I thought you were saying.
I think she only charged $1 for to get back in.
So she was kicking people. Okay, make sure I understand. She was kicking people out of the place that they already paid to get into.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then charging them to get in. Mm-hmm. That's called extortion. She better be glad she didn't go to jail for that one. So,
I think that's why she said statute of limitations have certainly run out in the beginning of this story.
Wow, that is crazy. So it does take you back. It does take you back to being in college and just seeing how some of those places. I remember there was this place, and it was 50 cents a beer, but you had to bring your own container, and it had to have a handle.
Oh.
And that place, it was on Wednesday nights, and that place went nuts because people would have the giant big gulps and everything else, and they'd fill it up for 50 cents, and it would just get out of hand. Yeah. Then you get so drunk that you're like, I could totally see how people get so drunk they're like, oh, I gotta pay to get back in.
Yeah.
So I could see how that went kind of crazy. Give me your thoughts. What is your thoughts on that one?
I think this is absolutely hilarious. I have never experienced a situation where I've had to pay twice to get in somewhere. Also, there were very few times that I got so drunk that I don't remember not paying to get in somewhere and paying again to get into it. But I thought it was a funny story.
When you were talking about it, I'm like, if you wake up with a wad of ones in your pocket, you do get a little worried, right? When you get a little worried, like, okay, you went to the bar.
Yes.
You came back from the bar. A picture. This is mistake. You come back from the bar. You wake up the next morning. You can't quite remember what went down, but you got a giant wad of ones in your pocket.
Oh, you're like, oh my God, what happened last night?
You're freaking out, right?
Yes.
You're totally freaking out because you're like, I did something against my character. There's a whole bunch of people out there.
Yeah.
that saw way too much, and I need to transfer schools.
Yeah. That's why Faith got all her stuff out her freshman year of college, and she does not drink like she used to when she was a freshman in college.
Yeah, see, and I was a guy that lived in a fraternity house, and you always see those people that have gone too far.
Yep.
There's always someone that has gone way too far, and it's just like, oh crap. they're looking at things like, no, what did I do wrong? Why? And you can't. There's no rewind. There's no control, alt, delete to go back. Yeah. And so I like, even when you start thinking, I'm like, she got on the bar, she started dancing on the bar, and she started doing a little too much, and people started throwing ones at her. That's what I was thinking the whole time you were telling the story. Can you see how that would go down?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Ever dance on a bar? Or did you plead the fifth?
I plead the fifth. My parents watched the show.
Well, Mom and Dad, I have danced on a bar a number of times. I was a little bit better shape back then. But yes, I have danced on a bar before. So couldn't even picture that one now, could you, Faith?
No.
That was years ago. That was back in the 1800s. You know, Faith is like, I am not answering that question.
Oh,
I have my Faith's whole family.
I need about 10 years to pass to tell all of my drinking stories.
So you need the statute of limitations to be up before.
Statute of limitation and then some before I tell all my stories.
That is hilarious.
My parents know some, but they don't know all of them. So
wow. And you know what? That would be tough because you know, you have a show where this is your tell-all show where Faith is one of the main pictures in the show, and you're telling stuff that's going on in her life, and you're like, ooh, I start telling this, and then I'm like, Grandma's watching this.
Yeah, so I have to be very careful with what I say.
That is hilarious.
Plus,
okay,
I don't want strangers out there on the internet judging me for my life decisions. So.
See, I used to have that, like, I used to always be that guy too, like being careful of what I say and things of that nature. You know, because you work hard to make sure that you keep yourself at, you know, at a quality level.
Yeah.
But you just get to a point where you're just like, you know what? I've led a good life. I have been a nice guy. You know, I haven't done anything so crazy that's gonna, you know, that if people judge me, they judge me. But I know, you know who you are.
Yep.
Let me. Were there questions with that one? I mean,
there
comments with that one?
There were no comments on this one, but if you want to move on to the other,
let's go to the next one.
Okay, so this one with the comments, it makes it more funny because it doesn't really seem like it's that funny of a story, but the comments definitely add to it. So, a friend of mine Thursday afternoon, which Thursday.
Yes, Thursday.
A friend of mine Thursday afternoon invites me out to Philly to go to this bar with $3 Long Island iced teas. Ooh. Now, I have work Friday morning, but I figure it'll be fine. I'm a veteran drinker. I do a few shots to pregame at his place, and we hit the bar with a few friends. 4 or 5 Long Island iced teas later, it's 7:30 Friday morning, and I have to work 30 minutes, and work starts in half an hour. I need to take an Uber, a train, and a shuttle to barely get to work on time as a teacher. That's supposed to...
Wow. Okay.
Listen. 4 or 5 Long Island iced teas. Do you know what's in a Long Island iced tea?
I've never had one, so no. Okay, go ahead.
Long Island iced tea has vodka, tequila, gin, and rum. And then it has sour and Coke in it. So you've got like, I think it's like half a shot of each liquor. So you've got like 4 separate alcohols that I think range from 20 to 30% alcohol wise.
And the problem is that's the whole key to drinking is not mixing your drinks.
Right. Well, they're all clear. Those are all clear liquors mixed together. So the clear liquors you're not supposed to mix clear liquor with dark liquor.
Okay. See, I always started because you're doing vodka, you don't want to switch from vodka to tequila. That's the reason why I looked at it that way. You're like, that's how mere bag of shells. No big deal. All right.
So yeah.
So
when I
all
read
right,
this,
let's hear some of the comments. And I'm very curious. The comments is what kind of get me fired up here too.
Yeah, so someone said, I have work in 30 minutes and work starts in half an hour. I feel like you're still hungover. Because in the original post it says I have work in 30 minutes and work starts in a half an hour.
So, I didn't catch that part.
Yeah.
That means yes, you're still feeling good as a teacher. Okay, here you go, Faith. Mm-hmm. You went out, things got a little out of hand. You wake up the next morning and you're still buzzed. Do you go to work?
Oh, Tate, One Sunday, I was hanging out with some friends after work. This was when I was still working Sunday
I
nights.
thought you were gonna say, and I did the show. Okay.
This was when I was still working Sunday nights at the restaurant I worked at. And I ended up staying up till about 1:30 in the morning, and I was drinking with my friends, and then I had about 3.5 hours until I had to get up to work on the show.
Wow. Listen.
And so I got like
okay.
3 hours of sleep. And then I woke
Wow.
up and I was still kind of feeling my drinks from the night before. So, yes, I have done that before.
I have had friends in the past. This is, guys are a little different. I have had friends have early morning jobs, and everyone goes out, and you don't get home till like 4 in the morning, and they got to be at work at 5. So all they have enough time to do is get home, shower, and then go to work. That's the worst. That's as bad as it gets, right?
Yeah, I've done that before too, but that was in my earlier days. And I learned the lesson that one Sunday night that I was like, I can't do this. I can't do
See, this one's all you on that one. Because I've seen guys do this. But as a teacher, you can't be coming to school smelling, you cannot be smelling like Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Miss Jenkins, you smell really nice. You smell like peppermints. Oh, that's the Rumplemans. You can't be doing that now. You know what I mean?
Listen, if I was drinking Rumplemints till 7:30 in the morning the next day, I would not go to work at all. I mean,
as a school teacher, I think you kind of have to be like, nope, I cannot go to school buzzed, because that's just really bad, right? If you smell like booze and your eyes are all glossy,
bloodshot.
That's a career decision where you could lose your career on that one.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I called the substitute teacher in.
There was a comment that someone said, please tell me you didn't go teach that day. And the person who made the post said, I gave them a writing prop activity, told them to peer edit their papers, and popped an antacid. My coworkers said I seemed fine, although my breath smelled like rum and cola.
Your coworkers, that means that other teachers are covering for you. But see, she's smart. That's not a dumb lady. Okay. Today we got a special assignment, kids. Everyone's gonna get to write a paper.
I put a movie on.
And then each of you gets to grade each other's papers. See, that's your smart, Faith. I'm tripling down. We're gonna watch the video on Lewis and Clark. We're gonna
watch a bunch of Bill Nye the Science Guys today, guys.
That's right. So we got Sacagawea, Lewis and Clark, Bill Nye the Science Guy. We're gonna watch all of them, and we're gonna have you, after each video, we want you to write in class a paper about what you saw, and then you're gonna give it to your neighbor to have them read it and grade it. And that's how you're gonna get your grade today.
Yep.
And then she's gonna pass out in the closet somewhere. I don't know. No, that's a rough one there. But
I could not imagine being still out from the night before and having to go work as a school teacher. That sounds like my worst nightmare.
See, the guy that I was thinking about that stayed out to 7 or whatever, then came back in. I think came in at 5 and had to go to work. He worked at FedEx. So it was one of those things where it was like he was one of the guys that loaded the trucks. So he's operating heavy machinery and everything after a night of drinking with the guys. And guys do it next level. I don't understand why you go to the level that you do sometimes.
I don't know, Tate. I know a few girls who go just as hard as guys do.
Wow, that is crazy. We'll leave that to the seasoned veterans like Miss Faith over here.
What? I am not a seasoned veteran. I am 4'11" and I don't weigh that much. My cap is like 5 drinks, and then after 5 drinks, Faith probably won't remember the night.
See, I feel like you're so small and tiny that they open the cork on the wine and have you sniff the cork, and you get a little buzz off of that. Just
no.
I would be the worst. I would be the absolute worst. I don't drink at all.
Tate's never had a drink in his life.
Not one time. Never.
Yeah, so never drinking, and then you're in your 50s. One drink, you'd be on the floor probably.
But I'm the weird non-drinker. I'm the guy, like, if let's say I was in Georgia and I went to the bar with you and your boyfriend, I'd be like, all right, let's get Faith a shot, let's him a shot, buy Mama a shot too. I'm the guy that gets everybody else drunk, but I don't drink. Or if you ever came to one of my parties, you'll see my house always has tons of booze, and I'm the guy that don't drink. I am the worst role model when it comes to that. Most people
listen, as long as the drinks are free, that's free.
Exactly. Most people, the people that bug me when it comes to drinking are the ones that used to be a drinker and now they're against people drinking. It's like, you did your drinking. I'm like, everyone is responsible for their own decisions in life. Mm-hmm. So if you want to have a few drinks
and repercussions,
there's consequences and repercussions for your actions. Exactly. So I'm all for it. Go ahead, have fun, this and that, within reason. As long as no one gets hurt, injured, or you're doing something silly, I'm pro. I'm the non-drinker that's pro drinking, which is kind of funny. Nice. In general.
All right, guys. Well, with that, we're going to close out the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content updates. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.